What's up, y'all? It's your financial best friend, and I'm here teaching you how to be that girl financially, okay? Now, today I have something very special for you all. I know when I first had my daughter, one of my biggest fear was if I die, how is she going to be able to take care of herself? Is she going to be okay? How is she going to be able to live, especially if I die before I reach all my financial goals? How am I going to make sure that she's okay? And good old Facebook, I was going down my timeline and I ended up coming across an agent who was a life insurance agent. And I kind of watched her content for a while. I think I actually watched her for like a year or two, and just seeing the information she put out there about life insurance and the importance of it. And yeah, I can get on here and I can tell you about life insurance, but this is actually what she does. So after going through the process with her and her actually helping me get my policy, I wanted to give her a platform and basically a stage to just teach you guys all of the things she was able to teach me. And even to this day, when things pop up on YouTube or Facebook and people are talking about life insurance, I'm always sending her stuff, always asking her questions. So I just thought it would be a really good idea to just give her, a platform to just express and teach you guys something, because a lot of people don't know what life insurance is, or a lot of people are confused about the ins and outs about life insurance. So I'm hoping that this breaks it down for you and that she's able to give you all the information that you need. Before I get into the Zoom call with her, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment box below. And not only that, if you want to reach out to her personally or have like a one-on-one conversation, I'm going to put her information down in the description box below. Let's get to it.
It's your financial best friend, trying to fix your credit. Girl, tune into these lessons. Something gon' pay off in the back end. Mixing with that bag, that trip, that 750. Cause you a boss, you a queen.
So just go ahead, introduce yourself, tell everybody what it is that you do, and then we'll go into the questioning and stuff.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, my name is Keyah Vinson. I am a life insurance agent and financial planner. So I help people with wealth management and life insurance and pretty much anything to deal with money, aside from like mortgages and individual stock picking. But yeah, I have my license and I absolutely love what I do. And I'm super excited to be here with you.
Okay, now she, like I said in the beginning, she actually helped me get my policy. So this is not just somebody I done found on the street corner that I got talking to y'all. This is actually somebody that actually I work with her and I bother her. I'll be sending her videos from Instagram and Facebook when I see the T on life insurance popping up, just to make sure what they're saying is true, because everybody is a content creator and everybody know everything about wealth. And half of the time when I send her stuff, she ends up debunking it. So that's why I have her on here, and I'm so happy that she was willing to squeeze me in, because she is busy. She out here making this money or whatever. So can you just start off and explain what is life insurance?
I think that's a really good question. Overall, it's really just a tax-free transfer of wealth. And there's a number of different ways that you can do it. A lot of times when we think about life insurance in general, we just think about something being passed on to somebody else when we die, right? But there's actually life insurance nowadays that you can use while you're living. There's some that have living benefits where you can actually, if anything happens to you while you're living, you can actually use your death benefit. Or there's life insurance that you can build cash inside of, which is pretty awesome. And that actually allows for you to build wealth, and you can use it while you're alive. You don't have to wait to die to actually use the money inside your policy, which is pretty cool. But all the money inside your life insurance policy is tax-free, and that's something that people don't really understand and know much about.
Okay, so let's say somebody decides, hey, I want to go ahead and I actually want to get life insurance. What is the process like? Like, what does that entail?
Okay, that's a good question. And so the process is really kind of dependent on the person. There's a number of different ways to get life insurance. You can, Google it, right? You can go through your bank, you can go through your, car insurance company. I would say the best suggestion is to actually find an actual licensed, non-captive agent. So that's somebody who isn't just with your bank or isn't just with your car insurance company, because that would mean they're going to offer you the most variety of products and services. They're not just stuck offering only what they have, but they can offer you anything that suits you. And so that would be the first thing that I would say is try to find a non-captive agent. When you actually find that person, you'll sit down with them. They'll kind of talk to you about, what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, what your insurance need is, and things like that. And then they'll run you some quotes so you can see, okay, if I paid this much, I could have this much in life insurance. If I paid this much, I can have that much. And then you agree upon that amount. And then you put in an application. That application you sign, the agent signs, and it goes into the company. And then the company does basically a reviewing process. It's called underwriting, where they look at your medical history, driving history, criminal background history to assess, how insurable you are, how risky you are.
Right.
And they'll either approve you or they won't approve you. But that's not to say that you're only stuck with that just one company. There's chances that anybody can get approved. And so don't feel discouraged if you've been denied once. There are other options out there, but that's why it's important to work with an agent so they can help you, mitigate through that.
Okay. So I know when we got our policy, you told me I was going to have to meet and get an exam done. Can you just explain that a little bit more? Because I didn't know it was going to be something as simple as it was. I thought they was going to be all up in my business.
Yeah. And so medical exams, that's something that is not as common as it is, as it used to be. You were just like the lucky number 7 or whatever that you got picked that day. So it's not as common as it used to be. But if you do have to do a medical exam for your company, it's so easy. All you have to do is, a lot of times they come to your house, which is super easy, or you just go to a facility and they do height and weight, vitals, maybe have to do a urine test. So you just pee in a cup and then they do a blood draw and that's it. And then they send you about your way and that's all you had to do. So it doesn't really take too much time and it's nothing to be scared about. It's also free, right? So there's nothing to even be worried on there that's out of pocket for you, but it's very, very, very simple to do. So if you are required to do a medical exam, don't be worried about it. It's just to, really assess you a little bit more for the company.
Okay. Now I know, everybody follow Dave Ramsey because he's the financial guy out here for us. And he often talks about getting permanent life insurance, get permanent life insurance. And he always says he feels like term life insurance is a waste of money. So can you please just explain the difference between the two and how does a person know which one they want or which one they want to get for themselves?
That's a good question. And so Dave Ramsey, right? He's a very popular financial coach. He has tons of years of experience. He's a little old school, right? And so he has this ideology of like buy term and invest the rest, which is okay, right? No big deal. But a lot of times people don't know how to invest the rest, and that's what gets people into trouble. And so when it comes to buying term insurance, term is just a type of insurance that's usually pretty inexpensive, but you can get a lot of insurance for a little price, but it's only for a certain term. And so the term depends on the insurance companies. The average is usually right around a 30-year term is like the max. Sometimes you can get a little bit higher, but there's some, small print in there. So make sure you're asking all the questions about term policies because there is different types of term policies. And so you just want to be careful that it actually does make sense for you. Again, working with somebody who can help you out with that. Now, permanent is really unique because, again, there's different types, but permanent is exactly as it sounds. It's permanent, right? It's not going anywhere. And so you can be 122 if you live that long and you're still going to have that life insurance in place. And what's great about permanent insurance is that oftentimes it builds that cash value that I was talking about before. It builds cash value inside of it. And so not only do you have lifetime protection, but also that money that you're putting to your policy, it's not just kind of getting thrown into the turmoil that's kind of gone, right? You're actually putting that money and it's going into a policy that builds cash as well. Now, you don't have to have one or the other. You can have both. And that's something that I definitely would know, right? I have a permanent policy because I want to have permanent life insurance, but I also have a term policy because I know for at least the next 30 years, I want, my family to have extra protection. So if anything happens to me, they get way more money, but I also have a smaller permanent policy that I can build my wealth inside of as well. And so you can have multiple policies too, which is kind of cool.
Okay. So let's say, God forbid, something happens to us. How does your family go about actually getting the access to your policy? How does that work? Because remember, I told you, like for me in my situation where I don't really have a lot of immediate family. So for me, it's my boyfriend that's on mine. And I told you, you need to make sure that when I die, he didn't kill me to get my money. So
Right.
how does your family get access to your policy if something happens?
That's a good question. I would say that that's, it's not directly tied to life insurance, but this is a really important reason why you should have a will or in a trust.
Okay.
Because you can put those details. Hey, this is my policy number. This is the company. This is who, is supposed to be the beneficiary, all that stuff. You can put that into your will and trust. You can even make your trust the beneficiary. So it doesn't even go to anybody. It goes into the trust, which is something which kind of cool. But the insurance company doesn't know when you die. The insurance company doesn't get a notification, oh, hey, you're dead, right? And then they just call you up or anything like that. Somebody actually has to activate it. And so that's why it's a good idea to actually tell your loved ones or put it in your will. Hey, I have this policy. It's this amount. This is my policy number. And if you do have an agent, you can leave their contact information as well so that they can actually activate the claim. But if they have, let's say, your boyfriend, he knows you have a Transamerica policy and there's nothing else that he knows, right? But he needs to activate a claim, right? If something happened to you, God forbid. It is a simple process, right? But it just takes like having some more personal information, social, and going through his details and as well to make sure that things are good on there. But it's not completely lost if you don't have it written down anywhere. But it's a good idea to definitely put into a will. Hey, I have this policy, or put it into your files that you have. Hey, I have this policy, this, and that, and actually tell somebody how to access it. So otherwise, there's plenty of times that people just don't know. And then there's just, companies just keep the policies, right? Which it's not their fault. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. So you got to make sure that you tell somebody that you have the life insurance and leave that information somewhere. And that's how you would activate it.
Okay. And then for the people, like a lot of people in the military, when you're in the Navy or the Army or whatever branch you're serving in, you have to get life insurance. Like your job provides the life insurance. And I'm sure in the civilian sector, jobs provide life insurance for people. So why would I get life insurance outside of the life insurance that my job provides me?
That's a really good question. And so there's a number of different reasons, right? I'll speak on the military aspect first. One, you're not going to be in the military forever, right? When you sign up, it's, just for, 4, 5, 6 years. Even if you do the 20, 25 years, you still have a ton of life left after the military. And so when you are no longer there, you have to replace that life insurance again. Your family still needs you to have life insurance. And yes, you can get the VGLI, but a lot of times veterans are unaware of that and they miss the period to sign up for it. And then it's like, oh, now they just don't have life insurance and their family's left unprotected. And even if they did get the VGLI, it's often way more expensive and way less value than just getting something on their own, because it actually goes up every like 4 to 5 years. There's like 80-year-olds paying hundreds of dollars a month for $400,000 in coverage. It's disgusting, right? And so you can most likely get a better deal when you have something private to you. Now, when it comes to the civilians, right? Civilian sectors, yes, you can get life insurance through your job, but there's also, again, the average person changes jobs 5 to 10 times in their lifetime. So every time that you're not having that job, that coverage stops. So that's one major thing. Another thing too is that a lot of job policies, they don't actually cover you if you die not at work, right? So if you die at home, they're like, oh, sorry, you didn't die at work, and it doesn't even cover you. And then the third thing I would say, it's often not even the right amount of protection for you. And so sometimes it might be 1 or 2 times your salary, right? They might get your kids in there, but it's never really the right amount of protection, because if you're the breadwinner, you have the job and they cover 1 year's salary. Is that really enough to take care of your family? Probably not. And so that's why it's a good idea to have something private for, all those situations that I would say.
Okay. So I know we talk about this all the time, girl, but some people still don't understand the importance of life insurance. So can you just explain some of the things you've seen that happens when people pass away and they don't have any life insurance at all? What happens?
Well, it's the biggest thing. I could talk about this for a very long time, but the biggest thing that happens is that it really can destroy a family in a number of different ways. One, if you're the breadwinner of your family, you're most likely putting your family in a terrible financial situation because they have to figure out how to bury you, they have to figure out your debt, they have to figure out all these different things, they have to figure out how to replace your income, all these different things. And even if you're not the breadwinner, you're a homemaker, maybe, right? Because there's plenty of working, work from home dads, work from home moms, stay at home this, stay at home that. I think salary.com did a study a few years ago, coming up with like what the value of that person is. And it was over six figures that they kind of replace in the income with childcare and things like that. That stuff is expensive. And so when you take that person out of the picture, you take that income out of the picture, it can be devastating. I've seen people, I've seen their homes get foreclosed on. I've seen people, in 2008 and probably even after that, when you read studies about it, because we have to study what's happened in history, that people like literally like kill themselves because they can't handle the financial strain that their family puts on them. And that's if you have a family, but even if you're single,
Yeah.
even if you're single, people, you still have to go somewhere. It's not just poof and you die and then that's it, right? You're going to get cremated, you're going to get buried. There's still your house to take care of, right? They got to pack up your house. They got to figure out your debt. They got to do something with your car. There's all these different fees that come into place that you don't consider because you're just focusing on you, right? So you have to look farther than you. You have to look farther than the impact. You might think, oh, it doesn't matter. It's only me, but it does matter because it's only you. Somebody still has to take care of what you leave behind. And even if it's not a lot, it's still something that is financially a thing. And a lot of people in this, in this country, unfortunately, don't have enough to handle their own, let alone helping out for a loved one. And then we crowd fund and sell plates and ask for money online when all you had to do was have a $10, $15 a month insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have prevented that entire situation. It's really devastating. Like, when people don't have it, because it's such a simple solution. But it's a lot of people just are selfish when they don't think about, protecting even that. You don't even have to leave something behind. You should, but you should at least leave something to put you in the ground or take care of your assets, because it is really important. So it's really sad, people, foreclosures, kids getting separated, like, not being able to handle stuff, kids being put into homes and stuff because the parents just can't handle it. Like, it's really sad what happens. And so life insurance can save that. Money talks at the end of the day, right? Money talks at the end of the day. And if you have a life insurance policy in place, if you can pay off a home, pay for your college tuition, pay for your kids to have their first home, that creates generational wealth. And that's an impact that you can have by just having a policy, which I think is really important.
Right. And something you mentioned is that when people pass away, it can be used to replace income. So when you are getting a policy, how do you know exactly how much you need?
Yep, that's a great question. And so across the industry, a lot of times you might just hear this many times the salary. But there's actually an acronym that we use as well, which is called DIME. So D stands for debt. So that's DIME, right? So D stands for debt. So any total debt you have, student loans, credit cards, cars, anything like that. So your total debt. I stands for income. So it's income times at least 10 years, annual income times at least 10 years, or to another goal. Maybe it's to your kids getting out of, the house. Maybe it's, until you retire, right? But income times at least 10 years. And then M stands for mortgage. So if you have a mortgage balance or mortgage balances, right? We want to put that into place so your honey isn't being left with the mortgage, right? Or, a loved one isn't being left with the mortgage, right? And then E stands for education or expenses. So if you have children, right? And you want to leave something to them, you can kind of determine if it's, do you want to pay for a couple years of school? Do you want to pay for, 4 years of school? A lot of people in the military, they're like, my kid has the GI Bill. They don't need to go to school. Do you want to help them start their own business, right? Do you want to help them buy their first house? That's things to kind of consider. So if you say, let's say you had like $25,000 in debt. Maybe you make 70,000 a year. You have like 250 left on your mortgage, and you want to leave $100,000 to your kid. You'd need about $1 million in coverage. And if you think about it across the board, military, we only have 400,000, right? There's only 400,000 that, the military community has. And I know almost everybody in the military has more than one kid, right? At least more than one kid, right? You're in babies. Right? Those deployment babies, right? There's two households, right? So if they're dual military, that's two different incomes. If one of the incomes is out, then that's a big thing to kind of make up for. And so usually right around the average is $1 million in coverage. And if you think about kids, maybe kids don't have debt, income, mortgage, and things like that, but your child with insurance, it's less expensive to get insurance when you're younger. That's just across the board. And so if you get a policy for your child and it's a permanent policy, now they're set for life. God forbid anything is diagnosed to them when they're over the age of 18, they never have to worry about having life insurance again because mom set them up when they were 2.
Right.
Right? Like that's just something to consider. Okay, yeah, my baby doesn't need life insurance. The world is kind of crazy out here, and it's not something that we like to think about, right? But it's better to have that protection because even when you're not here, your kid still needs to have that protection. That's called passing on generational wealth. You get a policy for your child, your great grandkids are good. And that's something that kind of consider too. But yeah, DIME is the acronym we use, but there's a number of different things based on your financial situation too, to figure out what is right for the individual.
Okay. So if anybody wants to, I don't want to share you, but I'm not going to be selfish because I don't bless people when they act like that. But if anybody wants to reach out to you, what ways can they reach out to you or get a hold of you?
That's perfect. And so the easiest way to reach me is definitely on social media. So my Instagram is @KV_CEO. And you can get a quote on there. You can book with me, all that stuff through my Instagram. You can also, find me on Facebook, right? Keyah Vinson. There's one person that looks like me, right? And so you'll be able to find me on there and you can book me through there. I'm very easy to access. And then you also can contact me via cell phone and email. I know you're going to put that information probably somewhere as well, but, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help with anybody. Every time that I sit down with somebody, it's complimentary, right? So I don't even charge you, right? I give you all these codes and all this stuff for free, right? And so it's usually people's best benefit to take the time out, even if it's just to get more information, right? Even if it's just to get more information, that's the best way to reach me. But I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate you being willing to share me. I appreciate you being willing to share me. My wife does not think the same thing, right? So she was like, "What?"
Right.
Come on, right? But I'm glad you can share me. That's good, and so I appreciate you so much. It's been great. I'm glad you're sharing this knowledge because you're killing it. You're killing it. You're like the money queen over here, just sharing all this knowledge and, really helping people with, building their wealth and assets and helping them with budgeting and all the stuff that you do. You're so awesome, and more people should utilize you as well. So she's sharing me. You guys got to get with her. Don't forget, you guys got to get with her. She's awesome. She's killing.
Thank you.
No problem.
This is somebody that I work with personally. She got all my information. I know I be messaging her, and I know sometimes she be rolling her eyes like, I can't believe she just said that because I have no filter. But definitely, if you have any life insurance questions or you see anything that you just want more information on, she's definitely somebody to reach out to. I am going to put all her information in the comment box. I'm going to make an Instagram post and I'm going to pin it because that's just how much I think what she does is so important, because I know if anybody in my family die, I'm not selling no fish plates for you. I'm not doing it. You shit out of luck. So this is, I'm going to make her more accessible to everybody else on my, at least on my platform, so that you can get that information, because I'm not selling no fish plates for your ass if you die.
No fish plates, no t-shirts, none of it. Get some life insurance. Get some life insurance.
Period. All right, boo. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. You are the best.
Of course. I appreciate you. You're awesome. And whenever you need, I got you. Okay.
All right, boo. Thank you.
No problem.